Order up.
Welcome to Overproof. This week on the show, we have Alex Pearson. Alex is the business leader at Wynyard Pavilion. He's not a business owner, but Alex, can you please explain, like I'm 5 years old, what a business leader is?
Business leader is in charge of running the business, usually larger businesses in hospitality, for this instance, which looks more at the strategic direction of the business, thinks about years, months and years as opposed to weeks or, the next couple of weeks, plans the direction, but more in regards to not just staffing and service and menus, more along the lines of like the financials, the marketing, what do you want to achieve over the next 2-3 years, and then, keeping the people who actually own the business happy. But the goal is to keep them out of the business as much as possible so they can do other things. And essentially, you run the business like you own the business. You make the strategic decisions, you make the financial decisions, you do everything except have your name on the deed or the lease at the end of the day.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty ideal situation to be in for so many people who want to open their own venue, but there's so much risk that's associated with opening your own venue because it's all your own capital that goes into it. It's all your own liability. You essentially have the same influence over a business. Tell me if I'm wrong when I'm saying this, because I could be, in terms of operations and creativity, but it's not your liability at risk. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's probably one of the best jobs in hospitality to have, but it comes with a high amount of stress. The same as any business, owning a business, you've got to fulfill the same duties as everyone else. Businesses are protected by through an LTD or, you're kind of in the same boat. We were just protected. We were owned by a Lion Nathan in so many ways. But at the end of the day, you run it like you own it. You feel the same stress as everyone else. It could be slightly worse than if you just owned it outright, because you're trying to hit your goals and what you want, but then you still have someone who owns it over you who can kind of, maybe best word is see from afar. I'd probably say that it's very easy for people to comment and say, oh, why did you do this? Why did you do that? But they're not involved in it. But I think it's absolutely amazing. But I think also the pressure of it is incredibly high. You're trying to achieve. You can also stagnate as well, which is really easy. But I think it's one of the best situations you can be in. The way we operated it was, let's do everything we can. Let's learn as much as we can while we're in this process. Let's try and do as much cool stuff as we can. And then we always used to say, at the end of it, like, let's do it while it's not our money. We have to edit. Every month we have to explain the P&L and go through it, and they're not happy, but we could take a few more risks, but we could also just do some things that probably other businesses didn't quite have not the time, but the freedom to go and do.
Sorry, carry on. This is why I don't like recording online, because you end up talking over top of each other from the lag.
No, go on.
My question was going to be, we'll get into your bit of a backstory and how you got into this role in a second, but just something that I want to touch on from what you just said. Do you think you actually have probably more, I guess, paperwork and compliance than a regular business owner? Because a lot of business owners that I talk to, they're probably not actually as across the numbers as if you were managing the business for owners. If it's your own business, quite often business owners will let a little bit of the paperwork or the admin slide. But if you've got people to report to, I would assume that you actually have more work to do.
I'd say that the number-wise, yes. The size of the venue we have, the venue can fit around about 1,000 people standing, seated, or 400, 500. Typically, our peak days was probably talking about 500-600, and then 1,000 for music events. Good thing is because we were subcontracted out, so under a contract management scheme away from Lion, is their liability wasn't in question, so it never really blew back on them. So it was always us. But then in terms of numbers, the more corporations grew and the more numbers they got, the more they demand of you to provide the same numbers. We always felt that the way that Lion were growing and the way, like, especially since COVID, they were getting more data, social data. Um, they know exactly each week how the market's trending in terms of, drinks served and everything. They were expecting us to provide that same data, but they had teams and teams of people, and they paid, thousands in marketing and analytics teams, where it's kind of just us on our own. So we had to kind of become experts in everything and go out and research and use as many systems and create systems. Compliance wise, yeah, I'd probably say we were better than most independent businesses, but we weren't perfect. We weren't like groups. The groups are really onto it because it affects the group. We never had any issues. We passed everything. However, numbers wise, I would probably say about a year ago, 18 months ago, I would put us up against any group, any business in hospitality in New Zealand, and say, we know just about as much in numbers as you do. We spent a hell of a lot of time on this, and it became like a passion project for like 2 years. And we brought in people to help facilitate this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy. I'm definitely not going to say it's fun, but we decided post-COVID that we had to become like the experts.
You just said that you brought people in to help with this. What type of people did you bring in?
So I had a guy who used to work for me. He was a bartender, but he then left and went for ANZ Bank, doing mortgages, things like that. He then moved back to the UK. He went to work for Bank of America as like an financial analyst. He was there for about 3 years. And then when I went back to the UK, we met for a few drinks. He said he was really keen on moving back to New Zealand. So I was like, sweet, let's get this sorted. And I got him back, and he's like a spreadsheet number wizard. So he came back. We brought him in, and other businesses we know were like, we can't believe you've got like a guy just dedicated to finance. He was kind of finance systems. We got him SOPing everything in the business. And it was an expense we paid, but the savings were there like straight away. Within like a matter of months, we were covering his wage plus more.
Can I touch on that? So what difference do you think, or like what money did he uncover in the business that you hadn't been aware of previously?
He just, even like the basics, like, we were using loaded rosters, loaded reports. Our rostering systems improved greatly, but it wasn't giving me enough detail on actually the hours I was giving out. It was very much like a daily blanket sort of way of doing it. It didn't incorporate public holidays or days in lieu, things like that. And he didn't really split the kitchen and the front of house very well. There's a few problems with it. He built this next level rostering sheet that I still use to this day. I can input all what I expect my budgets are going to be. All the staff's wages are already saved in it. We can click buttons and public holidays come on, automatically times its time and a half. But we can break it down by number of hours worked by each person. We can break it down into morning, afternoon, evening. When we did club nights, one thing I introduced to keep staff engaged is I paid staff a bonus per hour based off the revenue we did on the music event. So I could type in a number and be like, oh, I think we're going to hit this amount. That's $6 extra an hour. Type it in, and it break down the wage costs for me. So each day it give me an automatic budget per day on the wage cost. I could adjust it by percentages, so I could be like, actually, I think Tuesday for front of house is going to be bigger. So I can adjust the percentage. Didn't really have to do that much. But it spit out the number at the end, and then it printed. There's another sheet I went to, and it printed the roster like an old school roster, where, like the person who's been here the longest was at the top, and it went down. It split between front of house and bar. And for me, that's the way I like to see a roster. Like, I really.
Was this a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
That is so cool.
Yeah, like I like to see my rosters. I hate seeing rosters in alphabetical order. Like, I need to visualize people by the bar or floor, and then I kind of like put them into positions based on if they're management, if they're not management. But on this roster, I could even put sections in, and it changed. Their name would it'd have the section name after it, but it changed color, so I could literally like go right. You'll walk from left. You'll walk from right. You're pass working on the pass, but it just made it easier for me to actually break down like a daily roster and easier for the team to look at. And then we'd still put into loaded because then we could track. They had a really good tool, which is roster versus actual. So we could see if we was overspending or underspending on the roster based off what we've inputted. Because, I have, I think I had 5 or 6 managers, duty managers, supervisors, whatever you like to call them. So I could track constantly if we were overspending the day before, underspending. I can adjust the budget. So I used to go through and I'll update it based on what we've done for the week, and I get to see how we're tracking versus a week. Stuff like that. We sat down with him and he went to tender, being a large site with a lot of food suppliers, heading into the Christmas season because we're huge on functions. So we managed to get some locked in prices just to stop that up and down. Nothing major, but it allowed us to also like kind of review what we were paying on our top items, go and negotiate. And we ended up just on fries. We go through so much fries that we ended up saving about $8 a kg on fries, and it made a huge difference.
That'll be a huge amount of money across a year, right?
Yeah. And then our overheads, he went through every subscription and broke it down. And he's quite a funny guy. You can kind of tell him what to do, but at the same time, like he'll properly ask you. He'll be like, "Why are you paying for this?" And then you have to kind of like, "Oh, because well, I like it." And then he's like, "Oh, do you need it?" And I'm like, "No." And then he'll, cancel. But subscriptions for a hospitality business, especially of our size, are like thousands per month.
Huge,
so,
yeah.
But I reckon he knocked our overhead. I know the actual finance, the number, but I reckon he knocked it down by about 25%, our overheads.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's something silly like that. Yeah, he knocked that down, and then he did obviously all the systems, SOPs, but we managed to just kind of start going through every number we had and going like, why? I think what a lot of people kind of go is they see the number, they don't do anything about it because they think it's more work for them to go sort it out. They go, oh, I can go fix it and it might save me $60 a month. But then you multiply that by all the problems they look at. Like, oh, actually, here's like $2,000 a month that you've just saved. And then there's, rostering in hospo is always going to be rostering and cost of goods in hospo is always going to be like the number one thing. And I don't think anyone's an expert in it. So having someone like him who goes in, who doesn't know really anything about rostering or cost of goods is really interesting because they ask all these questions and it makes you kind of go back and go, no, this is why. And then he goes, but why? And then you go, oh, yeah, I've made this too complicated on myself.
Yeah. There's not very many people I talk to who get this in depth with their numbers or know even this much about their numbers. So this is really interesting for me to get that perspective from it as well. What systems besides this guy, I forgot his name. What was his name? Ben. Besides Ben,
yeah.
What systems are you using to track all of these? So you mentioned Loaded. What else have you got in place?
I think every business should have Loaded reports. Don't work with them, but Loaded reports just is getting better and better. And I have worked with them in the past on improving a few things, but I think that's the bread and butter for 90% of Hospo now. We had a whole function tracker spreadsheets, which again was something he created, and it recorded every single month, every single week, how much we were getting from functions, who the functions were, what the spend was, and then we'd enter it even a year in advance, so we'd have like a forecast from the actual functions. We use something called Systemology.
I haven't heard of that.
So that's one thing that we spent a lot of time on, and I don't think we ever nailed, but it had a purpose. It definitely helped. We just never nailed. I think a few companies have used it. We never nailed the practical side, but essentially, Systemology is a SOP website.
Okay.
It's about $20-$30 a month, but you can
Mhm.
basically just create folders and put in like every system you've got. You can break it down: front of house, back of house, finances, and write SOPs. And then it goes to, I could say to my front of house manager, hey, can you write this SOP on how you do floor ordering? She'd be like, yeah, sweet. She'd write it all out. We gave her like a template, and then it goes for me to approve. And then I could like make tweaks, edit it. And then it was linked then by a simple link. So anyone could jump in and view it if they had the link. We added it into all our training passports. So we broke it down. So, and then on our like opening and closing chat lists, we had it on, again, we had everything. We had how to wipe a table. We'd have a video in there instead of, and then, my pet hate is when someone goes up to a table and just sprays a bottle everywhere. I'm like,
Yes, I agree with you so much there.
I'm like, spray the rag and then wipe it, right? So there'd be a video on it, and then, they could, any staff member, when they did open and closing, it would have the link below. It'd say like, make sure the tables are wiped, and just like a hyperlink below it. And if they wanted to reference back, they could reference back and watch the video.
Yeah, cool. I love that you said that. Like, I feel passionately about the spray wiping the tables.
I've got so many pet hates, but
Yeah, I'm sure.
it was a great system. We spent tons and tons and tons of time on it. We didn't get the practical side very well, where staff were actually referencing back or using it as much as we wanted
Yeah,
to.
okay.
The one thing I said I should have done is just bought like an iPad and like mounted it to the wall and just only allowed that one website on it. So,
Hmm.
it's just stuck there. Or even just create hyperlinks on the background so they could just, with big tags saying like how to wipe a table, how to do this, and just have them like around the venue.
Hmm.
Hindsight's amazing. I probably would have bought 5 iPads and stuck around. But the good thing is now like I still have this. I downloaded everything from this website, so I can go through and tweak it and put it into any hospo venue, and I reckon it will be 80-90% of their training is just normal day-to-day training if they were running on like loaded reports and using a few of the systems we did. Another system we used at the end was, oh God, it was a function system. We
Going
used a
blank.
really, really good function system. There's one called Ivy, which we're using now, but the triple C, that's one, triple C.
Okay.
Advise any business that has a dedicated function space and does functions to use triple C.
Is it triple seat or triple C?
Triple seat.
Triple
So
seat.
like 3 seats. I'd advise anyone to go and use it because they can whitewash it onto your website, and then they fill out the information. The inquiries go into it, but you communicate through triple C. It links to your email, so it goes to your email as well. But as long as you're replying, it all stays in the same conversation. You can create run sheets on it, but you can have like food orders, drink orders, all your menus, and it goes to the client, and the client can select on it how much of each they want. And then it creates all the contracts, and then they sign it. And my wife, who's our event manager, she could just send it to any duty manager or any manager working for me, and they get all the information. It's all signed by the client. It stops that client going, oh, we agreed on this. And it's like, no, everything's here. But it also,
Yeah.
on the flip side, it gives the client a portal to log into at any point, and they see all their information just about their event. There's no email chains. There's no looking for that document. It's just everything is right in front of you. It tells you the area. It was brilliant.
I love that. This is great
And then,
information, by the way.
oh, thank you. And then we used another one, which we don't have anymore, and my wife hates me for it. We basically, and it's a bit extreme because I haven't heard of many venues doing it, is we actually measured everything in the venue, every table, every chair, every plant pot, and created floor plans,
Okay.
and everything was to measure. So we could plan floor plans for any function and actually put the table. So you could have a template and it had no tables and chairs. You add the table and chairs in, and then you could actually see how it works and if they'll fit and how many people will fit in all this. So as a venue, we can hold like 4 functions at the same time or one big function. So if a client turns around to us and say, hey, we want to bring in a photo wall and we want to put it over here, but we've got 400 people, we ask for the measurements of the photo wall. We can drop in a fake photo wall into it and actually see how it fits in the room and make sure that it all kind of like goes in the right place.
This is really smart.
Yeah, I'm very much, this is very opposite to me. I'm like, I'll make it work.
Yeah.
I'll make them fit in. But she wasn't. She was very much like, sorry, is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
So she's very much like, no, I need to know exactly how many people we can seat. We're a big venue, but in our main room for a set menu, we can fit like 200. And I'm like, nah, we can fit 240. And she's like, nah, 200. So we'll sit down on it and we'll map it all out and work it out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We can play like Jenga, but like without having to do it in the actual venue.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't heard of. Is this designed for hospitality or is it like
Nah,
an interior?
it's really easy to do once you've set it up. It just takes like someone with a little bit of intelligence just to sit down and spend like a day on it. But we used it for about 3 years.
Mhm.
And it was about $50 a month, and it made a
Yeah, okay.
huge difference. You know, I organised all the music events, and difference between me and my wife, she organises all the functions, birthdays, corporates. I like organise music events, and I'm with promoters being like, yeah, we'll fit the stage here. This is a measurement, and we kind of like footstep it out and everything. And she's like, oh, that won't fit, and I'm like, no, I'll make it fit. But she actually like then we'll go measure it and like work it out, and it makes a huge difference for any venue. I reckon it fits over like 250 and wants to do multiple functions at the same time. Like just do it. You can even sign up and have it for 3 months and then delete your subscription and then reactivate it 6 months later and all your data's saved.
Cool. What was it called? Sorry, I missed the name of that one.
It was called, I'll tell you now,
After a quick Google.
it was, just checking my email. God, I used it a few times, but my wife was the expert in it.
I can just see that would also make a way better function because if you're somebody like yourself who's just like, I'll make it work, then you end up with people that are potentially like really cramped or uncomfortable in a function instead of like comfortably sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a huge difference, but it just makes sure that you've actually got that space and can do it. I'll have to get back to you on the floor plan. I've messaged her.
That's
I'll
okay.
find out. Sorry.
That's okay. I want to take a little detour from the numbers and the operations of the business and just get to know you and your career a little bit better. What did 18-year-old Alex think Hospo was going to be? Because now you're quite into the numbers. You're running a really big operation. I imagine that if you started when you were 18, let me know if I'm wrong. Imagine that used to look very, very different for you.
Yeah. So between the ages of 16 and 18, I worked in facilities management. So I was a mobilization manager. So I spent my time going around different data centers in the UK and recording their assets.
Okay.
It was a very interesting job. It was quite a cool job at the time. I was reporting to one of the managing directors and a couple of other very influential people, which was good. Really good opportunity for me to learn like how you talk in business and how you act in business, and sitting in meetings I had no right to be sitting in, and people were very good to me and they'd give me a lot of advice. And then I went to university to study business, and at the same time I took a job in my local pub as a bartender. I went in on my trial shift. I knew the owner of the bar at the time, the pub at the time, just because I've been in a few times. He thought I was a year older than I actually was, which is usually the way in the UK, or was back then. I just went in and said, wanted to try and do a pub job for a bit and just, get involved. He was like, yeah, sweet. Do you want to come in tomorrow for a trial? I came in, did a trial. It was like their busiest night in like 3 or 4 months as like the standard. Yeah. I did it. They were all really nice. The people who were teaching me were really nice. It was a very small pub. I think we had 4 people working, sort of vibe. And then I started the week after, and I found out that the 3 people I was working with got fired the night I did my trial shift. Because they stayed after work. They stayed after work and drank all the landlord's spirits in the corner. So I went in and basically got told I was on my own.
Cool.
It was like a baptism of fire. Local pub though. It was at the time they did a very nice area. So we had like ex-Manchester United, ex-Manchester City footballers coming in, and then just people who are quite high up in industries, but all absolutely lovely, down-to-earth people. So that was fun, and I stayed there I think I did 2 years there. I was at uni in Leeds. I did have my job in Manchester, but at the same time, I played a sport called lacrosse. I was playing for my hometown team still. I was playing for uni, and I was playing for England under-19s. So I was kind of like in the middle of everything. So I worked there weekends, holidays, summer. And then I think I did like 6-7 months there straight. Good. Learn about working in a pub and dealing with locals and regulars. And they're great, but they're hard work. They come in 3 times, 4 times a week. They demand a certain level of respect and service. And, they're quite interesting people. But then I got on really, well with them. And then I took a job. I came back from uni, did 1 summer there, then decided to go backpacking around Australia for 4 months between my 2nd and 3rd year. Did that, moved back and just decided I wanted to stay in Leeds full time for my final year. Didn't want to travel back all the time. So got a job working for a company called Revolution de Cuba. Revolution de Cuba, they've been on the news recently in the UK, Revolution bars. I think at the time they had about 120 of them. Now they've unfortunately gone bankrupt. They're a publicly traded company. Their big brand was Vodka Revolution, slightly smaller bars, but lots of daytime bars, nighttime bars, late night events. And then the Cuba was the rum aspect, and they were the big venues. So they were opening one up in Leeds. So they hired, I think in the end we had like 70 or 80 bartenders working there. So yeah, a large team, 3 floors. I think there was like 10 or 12 stations per floor, but like double stations.
Yeah.
Would operate till like 3, 4 in the morning, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but we open every single day. Cocktails, mojitos. Worst time of the day was 6 till 8 when it was 2 for 1 on cocktails. It was chaotic. I think like their classics, which were like the worst. They were like, mojito's fine. You can bang out a mojito in 30 seconds, but like pina coladas and stuff like that, like no one should ever do a 2 for 1 on a pina colada. Like they're just, especially the way they made it, were like they spared no expense. They had proper crushed ice machines and everything. So, but you could bang out the cocktail. They're just annoying to make, but it was very much like our training went on for a month before the venue started. So they got us in 5 days a week for 4 weeks in the venue, learning everything about rum, the history of rum, Cuba, everything. The training was unmatched. I've never had that in like bar level. The cocktails weren't elite. They were probably like what you say were good, decent cocktails on a night out, but not you're not gonna like vote for an award for it or anything like. They were just what they are. A big site, lots of cocktails. So I was working there. Eventually kind of moved up to the head bartender position. So I would be on the main floor in the middle station on my own. I would have like a whole big double station on my own, or they would put someone with me who just took payments. and I just bash up
Okay.
the cocktails. It was fun. I was just hyper competitive. It was one of my like really competitive stages. So every night they do like competitions on like who sold the most cocktails. They did a good incentive that for every double shot you sold, you got the equivalent of like 20 cents. They used to do every spirit you buy, it's like $4 to double it up. So it doesn't matter if you buy like a single malt, it's $4 to double it up. So I used to just like go really hard, try and make as much money as possible. But then, like, the managers would come down and be like, Jake upstairs is beating you on sales per hour, like, pick it up, like, as a joke. End of the night, I'd find out that I did, like, double that person. But I was just, like, going, like, as hard as I could. And it was mainly students working there, big student city, but the hours that were required, like, we didn't get out till Saturday nights, we didn't get out till about 8 o'clock in the morning or Sunday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's full on. So I worked there for a while, which was good, but it was incredibly full on. And then the progression working for that group didn't look that great. To me, like if you moved up to a supervisor, the pay was like 20 cents more an hour.
Yes.
And then if you wanted to go any higher, you got to salary. And then your salary was like this typical hospital, you get paid for 40, you work 60. And I just was like,
Totally.
nah, I'm not like, I
So
wasn't
when
really
you were,
planning.
sorry, when you were working there, you were still studying at the same time, or you decided at this point, hello, I could see your mouth moving, but nothing was happening. Sorry. So, I don't know if I just interrupted you, but we'll just have to cut that bit out. When you were working there, were you studying at the same time, or you decided at this point that you were wanting to make hospitality a career?
Oh no, I was still studying. So yeah, I was still doing my business degree and going through that. So I was working like 2 nights a week. Most people were working 3 nights, but because of the whole incentive to sell doubles and stuff, I was earning enough money to do 2 nights instead of 3 nights. That kind of makes
Amazing.
sense.
Yeah.
But I was playing a lot of sport and stuff, and then I ended up moving to a champagne cocktail bar, part owned by Laurent-Perrier, which was still really busy, but a bit more formal, a bit more. We had Guru Armada play our opening night. Head Candy played New Year's Eve. It was really fun. It was a small bar though, like we're probably talking about 200 people max, but like premium. But you know, most of the cocktails had Laurent-Perrier champagne in. We had the shoes like Houselams. I've opened them before. That was they're really cool, scary to open, but cool. So I did that, and I did that for about 8-9 months, and then we decided to. I finished my degree, and I was kind of deciding what I was going to do next, and I was deciding if I was going to do a master's. I got accepted to do a master's with UNICEF, to do like sustainable business, in developing countries. So I'd do like 3 months in India, 3 months in Africa, 3 months in Latin America, South America, and then 3 months back in the UK, and then I'd have a year to kind of decide to go back to some of them and do like 6 months. But then me and my best mate, who's over here with me now, decided to go to Bali and have a holiday. And then we decided from Bali we fancy going to New Zealand for a bit. So then we went to New Zealand, and then I've been here for 9 years and never went
That's where
back.
it all went wrong. When you first moved to New Zealand, what shocked you about hospitality there compared to where you'd just come from? Anything?
No, I mean, there probably was. I think the level of like cocktails and cocktail bars was definitely very low compared to Europe at the time. I
Yep.
found the nightclubs over here, the nightlife, not on the same level as being in the UK. But then I definitely found the approach to alcohol in New Zealand different to the UK. In the
In
UK,
what way?
obviously, everyone in the UK, there's comparisons like everyone in the UK drinks a lot, but then they say New Zealand people drink a lot. Problems in the UK, typically, especially outside the city centre, is the pub is seen as a place to go, like meet your friends, but also go on your own and just have a casual, quiet pint after work and chill out and then go home. Whereas I think in New Zealand, whole like going out for a drink is a bit more of an event. I don't think it's as
Okay.
casual as like stopping for a pint on your way home. I feel like it's more of a like like, should we go for a drink on Thursday? It's all like a bit more pre-arranged, where in the UK, people typically just like drive past their local and go, I'm going to stop in for a pint.
Yeah.
And it's completely acceptable. Where in New Zealand, it's more, you get more bookings, but more people coming in like it's planned.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
yeah, that's kind of what I've noticed. But then I think the drinking cultures, I actually think New Zealand's drinking culture now is more modern and civilized, not civilized, more modern and innovative
Yeah.
than the UK. So,
Oh, that's a hot take.
like, the UK doesn't have low carb beer. There isn't a thing. No, they don't have low carb beer. It's not a thing. You can search around. You might find like the odd bottle in like Tesco or Sainsbury's, but it's not a thing in pubs. Stuff like RTDs, which are big in New Zealand, aren't a thing in the UK. Same thing, you can shop around, but a lot of them are like the Jack Daniels and Coke cans, or the heavy RTDs. They haven't got like the developed like vodka sodas, sort of
Mhm.
smashable ones. And it's probably a bit different because of the cost of alcohol in the UK versus cost over here. People are going to easier for people to buy a bottle of vodka over there. Drinking laws are different. If you get caught with a bottle of vodka in the UK outside, the police aren't going to do anything. In New Zealand, they'll do something. But I just find, I think, not cocktails, but I think everything else in the UK, they're kind of still stuck in the whole like beer is king, like beer is
Yeah.
beer, and we drink beer, and we drink beer, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
but even the pubs, to be fair, like my sister and my mum are incredibly picky on what wine they drink, and most of the pubs you go into, they have a red and a white and a rosé, and that's it. They have one of each.
Yeah,
And
okay.
yeah, they go
Interesting.
nuts about it. Like, and they're like, "Oh, can't go here because that's sort of the right sort of Pinot Grey," and I'm like, bloody hell, like, oh, I'm
Do
like,
that in New Zealand. Yeah.
no,
My
like the
country.
what? Yeah, I think there's more options in New Zealand, in the UK. But then, like in the UK, craft beer is shot down. Craft beer is becoming less and less of a thing. Most bars
Hmm.
have like one or two taps now. But lagers, we in the UK, we like to say that we're like multicultural. We have a lager from the UK, a lager from Spain, a lager from Italy, and then we might have one more lager, and then that's apparently will be multicultural.
It's very diverse. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very diverse. Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, and most of them are all brewed up the road anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They just got
Oh
the flag
no.
on it to say it's a Spanish beer. It's not. It's just made in Manchester. Yeah.
How did you go from arriving in New Zealand to being a business leader at Wynyard?
A lot of stress and hard work.
That's a good answer.
For 2 years, I worked at a place called Caravanserai, which was very good. Uh, Loads of incredible people, loads of incredible friends. I still meet up with them every month or something. They're still regulars in the area. Met my wife there. She was working as a waitress in the same bar. We got together, and then after about 2 year and a half, she moved to Jakarta, which is now Wynyard Pavilion, as a waitress. And then at the same time, Lion had just bought the site. Within a couple of months, the restaurant manager and bar manager announced they were leaving and they were going back to Europe. So then they said to the team, "Are they looking for a bar manager, restaurant manager?" And she was like, "Oh, my boyfriend does both." So then I got a phone call, went for a meeting, and then I said to my old boss at the time, well, I keep saying to him now, I was the best hire you ever made because you never looked at my CV. For a guy that created systems and interview processes about checking CVs and interview questions, I said, this is all great, but you never looked at my CV. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think it would have stopped me getting, it wouldn't have stopped me getting a job. It would have benefited me, but he never looked at my CV. He just hired
That's
me off a,
interesting. But do you think he hired you for your personality rather than your resume?
yeah, definitely. Yeah. We had about a 20-minute conversation, and it was about when it was still Jakarta when I first joined. They had their cocktails they were selling, and their cocktail setup was a tub in the corner, and it had lime juice, pomegranate juice, and an orange in it, and that was a cocktail tub in the corner. That was where
Wait,
they got their like, yeah, they had no like speed rail, they had no like prep or anything. It was just that's a cocktail stuff we're using. So if you need to make a cocktail, grab the glass, grab whatever bottles you need from the bar, and then go to the corner and then use the tub and then make it in the tub and then serve it. Yeah,
me.
that was literally it. Yeah, and they had 8 or 9 cocktails on the menu. So when
My God.
yeah, so when I started, I think I started in April. They that December they did 100 cocktails in the whole month, and then I created a cocktail station and everything. We're doing like 100
I'm trying to wrap my head around what this looks like.
So
Sorry.
you know like the tubs the kitchen use, like the ice cream containers, the long ice cream
Yeah.
containers.
You
That
mix
was
it in the tub.
No, that's just where they had the ingredients, like all that prep,
Oh,
or just like no, they didn't mix it in that. No, they had
imagine you shaking
no,
like an ice cream container. Okay,
no,
I'm on the
no,
same track now.
they had literally in this container like pomegranate juice, I think a feijoa, some mint, and like an
Oh my God.
orange, and then was just like that's all so every night when they were packing down, closing the cocktail station was just putting an ice cream lid on a tub and putting it away. Like that's just made no sense. And some pomegranate seeds, I remember them. So yeah, they made 100 cocktails in a December, and then I think the following December we were averaging like 100 cocktails a day or something like that, like
Okay.
completely. And the cocktails were definitely better, but it was just more like, right, someone orders a cocktail, I'll get the cocktail out within like, I'll make it within 30 seconds to a minute, as opposed to, it'll take about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And if we're busy, we're not going to do cocktails. We'll just say to people, we're not doing cocktails.
Yeah, okay.
That was literally our conversation. I just said to him, like, he said to me, what do you think of our cocktails? And I was just like, below average, can do better. And he just went, completely agree. And that was the conversation.
That's how you got hired. Amazing.
Yeah. I think too many people go to interviews and just like, say what they want the other person to hear, the interviewer. And all you're doing is setting yourself up for failure, because either you're not going to enjoy it because you don't actually agree with the person, or they're going to learn that you lied, and then you're not going to see eye to eye on anything. So you might as well be honest. And
yeah,
there's certain things you can't just come out and say. You've got to say, hey, like, we all have our own opinions of things, but if you kind of go one way too much and just like bold-faced lie to appease another person, it's not going to work.
What do you look for when you're interviewing people?
People who are honest, people who are open to learning, and people who have their own experiences but want to learn a new way of doing things, are open to it. It might just be me, and I might get a lot of hate for this. I hate hiring bartenders with 2 to 4 years experience. I have this rule. I hate it because they come in, and I think when you're a cocktail bartender, between that 2 to 4 years, they all get this ego about them that they think they just know everything about how to make cocktails. And then I think it gets to a point, and it's usually about the 4-year mark, where they see something or they're in an experience, and it just brings them back down to a level of going, humbles them against, actually, I want to learn more. And I think that, and it's dangerous with hospo, with that 2 to 4 years, and, you can have a look, but they get so passionate and they get so into it, and you want to encourage them and be like, yeah, this is great. But when they go into, 2 cocktail competitions a week and tastings, and they're going out after work to cocktail bars, my thing is like, chill out, calm down. This isn't sustainable. You can't be working, doing all this and make it sustainable. But I don't want to not encourage you to be doing this stuff. But at the same time, like, if you want a career in cocktails, you can have that career over 40 years. You don't need to go and learn everything right this minute. And also, you go to watch all this stuff. It doesn't mean they're right. Like, there's good cocktail bartenders and there's people who aren't so good but come across as being really good. Like, and you've got to be selective. My problem with Auckland cocktail scene at the moment, or some of it, is the fact it's gone so sophisticated that I don't actually feel like a lot of it's that approachable. That a lot of the public won't drink the cocktails. I went to a cocktail competition, won't say where, but a guy poured the cocktail through a plant pot of soil and then strained it out and then was trying to go on about the minerals in it. And then he came like second, and I just walked off going, I don't get this. Like, this isn't for me anymore.
Isn't that dangerous?
There was some,
I think that's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be wrong, but I don't think drinking something strained through soil is safe. I hear you. I think we need to, this is my personal opinion, but I think we need to stop taking ourselves so seriously and make sure that we're still providing fun, because that's why people drink cocktails, right? They don't want to lecture for an encyclopedia style drink where they don't understand any of the ingredients. I definitely don't want, I feel like I'm hating on this poor person, but I definitely don't want a plant pot soil cocktail, Like, I want something that's fun and exciting, or even just simple, and I know exactly what I'm drinking, and I don't feel scared to order it because I have to Google all of the ingredients.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, me and my missus are all about like restaurants and bars. She's from New Caledonia. If we're looking at a menu or looking at a drinks menu, and she's got 2 questions about the ingredients that are in the drink, then I'm like, nah, like, it's not for you. Because if I have to answer the question, if it's just translation or anything, completely fine. But if it starts getting too complicated to drink, I'm like, at least get something you're going to like first, and then we can kind of work our way to that. But, experiment and try things. But it's just the cocktail scene in Auckland, and I was really big into it. I was really passionate about cocktails. And then the reason I became what I am now, as I said, distilling into cocktails, was because one of the smartest guys I've ever met sat me down, well, 2 of the smartest guys I've ever met in hospo sat me down and said, you can keep going with these cocktails and you become one of the best cocktail bartenders around and you can do really well, or you can go and work on operations and learn everything on either side, pros and cons with both. One of them, you're going to make money and you're going to advance and do cool stuff. The other thing, cocktail bartending, you'll do really well. It's incredibly hard to make money. And one of them, who is really, really in the know about, way more in the know than me about how hospitality businesses run and the finances, said it is incredibly rare to see a cocktail bartender run a hospitality business well, because they serve what they want to serve, and it's really hard. And there's exceptions to the rules, but a lot of them just, you think they're amazing, but when it actually comes to paying the tax and paying the money and everything, they just don't have a clue. I made a decision to move away from, chasing the cocktail dream and start learning about how to run a business.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think you can have that on the side though, right?
But absolutely,
But there is, and this is the same thing. I just did an interview with somebody else who was a chef who opened their own business. And they did it out of that passion for food and the passion for showing off their skills rather than knowing anything about the business side of things. And it just sets you up for failure. Like, people do come to places for food or for drinks, but they also come for the experience. But if you are not putting money away on the side of that, you're not, like, it's just not going to last. Like, it's not a long-term strategy.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like, everyone should follow their passions and do what they love. And if you're a hospitality owner and you're ready to cocktails, then put yourself on one shift on the bar a week making cocktails, or get involved with the cocktail menu change. But, say to the bar manager, every time we do a cocktail menu change, you're changing 14 cocktails. I want 2 to change myself. And then you can stay a little bit involved and everything. But, running a business and being a good cocktail bartender, or being a really good maitre d' or sommelier or chef, 2 completely different skill sets, and some crossover and do really well and some don't.
Yeah. The other thing I guess you can do is find a business partner who has that expertise, who can balance you out. But then you need to be able to take that feedback and listen to them.
Absolutely, yeah. And not all people are built to have business partners, and and it's tough. But yeah, you kind of got to be deciding what you want more and it's all about your lifestyle and what you want to achieve at the end of the day.
Totally.
So yeah, it's a
And so, circling back, you were hired as the restaurant manager, right?
restaurant and bar manager.
Restaurant and bar manager.
They wanted a restaurant and bar manager. I think I did about 3 shifts on the floor, the restaurant manager, and then moved just completely running the bar. The floor was absolutely fine. They had really experienced people on it. The bar was struggling, and it just made sense to focus on the bar. Like there was no point, spending much time involved in the floor. I think it was more the input and decision making for the floor I kind of got involved into. So I did the bar manager role for I think about 2.5 years. So I did America's Cup as a bar manager, which was crazy, which is fun, crazy, crazy but fun. Now, easily the biggest event time I've ever worked in hospo. We had COVID, we were battling COVID at the same time, but the numbers we were pulling out and the stuff we were doing was just insane. Well, I think we went through something like 140 kegs in like 22 hours, something like timed from like the delivery to getting out. We went through a keg of Little Creatures, which for anyone who doesn't know is a 49-litre keg in 7 minutes flat, which...
Holy shit!
Yeah. 7 minutes this keg came. Like, I changed it. I knew exactly what time it was, put an order through, exactly what time it was, legged it to the keg room, and then got back on the bar, started serving someone else, and then someone went Little Creatures was out, and because we had 3 tap systems on the bar, I was like, I just changed it, pull it through, and they were like, it's out, and I was like, something's wrong, ran back, and the keg was empty. And I looked at the time again, I went out 7 minutes.
Fuck, at that point, you just need somebody in the keg room dedicated to being the keg person.
Everyone said that to me, and we kind of did, but we couldn't get enough bodies into the venue to help. Like, it was a one time where, like, I was calling everyone I knew up. She now lives in Brisbane, but I had one of the marketing managers for Countdown supermarkets working as a glassy for me.
Nice.
Just for them. She came in and worked like 6 hours. I had mates not involved in the industry who just like would ring me and say, hectic at Wynyard, I imagine. How's it going? I'm like, I'm knackered. I have been working like 90-hour weeks, and they're just like, do you need a hand? And I'm like, if you can come down and help, I'd just love you forever. And they just come in and work like 2, 3, 4 hours and just, clear glasses and help. And it was amazing. Like,
that's so awesome. Good friends.
Yeah. It was really good to see, and we were just kind of like throwing people into the venue, and like, we had the director of hospitality at Lion on the. I did cocktails on every single day. I was like, we have to sell cocktails. You have to sell cocktails, and we were doing like mad numbers each day. Up to like $100,000 on the bar each day, and then the final day. And bearing in mind, it's only one bar. There's not like different bars outside. I was trying to make these cocktails, getting our ass kicked, and he was first time I've seen him like carry a tray or get involved in service. He came up to the bar with glasses and just went like, "Stop bloody making cocktails! Just finish it!" And I was just like, "Okay, no more cocktails." I was like, he's the only person pretty much in Auckland that could have told me to stop making cocktails, and I'd have listened to him. And I was like, right, not making them.
Fair.
I was
You
just
gotta
like,
do something to survive.
We had like reps coming down with like more from Southern Hospo bringing more beer jugs for us. Like we ordered tons. I think we had like 100 on site, and they brought down like another 100, and like we just couldn't. They were bringing down pint glasses because we just couldn't. We just didn't have. We had like 300-400 pint glasses, but we just needed more. Like people were drinking and just going for it, and you couldn't wash them fast enough, and you couldn't really do anything fast enough.
I feel like after those sort of times in hospitality, you bond extra well with your team because you feel like you've all just been through a whole very intense experience together.
So in the America's Cup, the way America's Cup works is that if it's not windy enough, they'll cancel the race, but they'll
Mm-hmm.
cancel it like half an hour before. But you're already full,
Mm-hmm.
you're already packed. We didn't really have any table service; it was all bar service. But then people hang around, so I think we had 2 or 3 days where the race got cancelled. So what that means is another day gets added on, another day gets added on, which really really builds everyone up. Like everyone's like, we just want it to be over. So Team New Zealand won, a customer turned around and went, "God, your team are really happy about it." Like, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And they were like, "You've got a girl crying over there, and like she must be really into this." I turned around, and looked at it. It was my assistant bar manager, and I went, she's just so happy this is over." I was like, we are absolutely buzzing. This is done."
Bless,
Like
that's so
we were doing rosters the day before. Like we had a roster
yeah.
and we just scrapped it because we were basically like, I was doing a roster and pretty much like 9 o'clock at night we were still full and just walking around and kind of rating people scale of 1 to 10 of how tired they look and what level of burnout I thought they were at, and that's how they were getting decided what time we started the next day.
Okay, yeah. I'm sure that would go down really well with like whoever the employment authorities are.
Oh yeah, but I mean the thing is, because of COVID and everything, we spent 2 years gearing up for this, like America's
Mm.
Cup, and the staff all knew about it. Uh, every staff member went like above and beyond and was super dedicated. There was no like, if anyone turned around to us and said, "I'm knackered, I can't do this," we'd be like, go home, go a rest, uh, we're fine. Everyone wanted to stay, so that's how we kind of had to rate people by how we thought they were as opposed to what they were saying. Because every time we asked them, they were all just like, "Yeah, we're great," and I'm like, "No, you're not." Like,
They're like
I know,
pale, dark eyes, they're
yeah,
sweating.
but no one wanted to let each other down. There was a whole thing about it, but
Yeah.
I was just trying to send people home. But then because I was working like, I think I did close to 100 hours on that week. I was like coming in first thing in the morning to receive the booze delivery, like 7 o'clock in the morning, and staying till like 2 o'clock in the morning doing it. And they wouldn't leave, the bar staff wouldn't leave because I hadn't left. So I'd be like, "No, finish." They'd be like, "No, when are you finishing?" And I'm like, "No, you go home. Like,
Aw.
I'm fine. I can carry on. You need to, like," there's a reason when me and my wife got married, all our bridesmaids and groomsmen were all people that worked during America's Cup.
Really? Fuck
Like
yeah, that's
every
so
single
cool.
person worked during America's Cup for us. Um, it created this weird bond that like you just
Yeah,
can't kind of
like a trauma
let go
bond.
of. Yeah,
I love that. You get a special kind of like camaraderie from your team when people all do pull together and they can see that you're suffering and they're willing to suffer through. It's like you're soldiers, but nobody's dying, hopefully.
yeah, absolutely, yeah,
You're right.
yeah, yeah. Cool.
Same, yeah, we're good.
Can you see me?
All right. Yeah, yeah, we're good. What have you done in the business? Actually, I never even asked this. How did you end up getting promoted to business leader from restaurant and bar manager?
So I got
Was that
promoted to
natural?
no, I got promoted to general manager first,
Okay.
which essentially we had a contract manager, so a guy called Damien McDowell. Damien McDowell is super genius, super passionate about hospitality, super passionate about Wynyard Pavilion. A lot of the things we've done is because of him, his need to improve and need to be better and everything. So we worked, I think I worked as general manager under him for like 2.5 years. He was based on Waiheke at the time, but then came over 2-3 days a week, but we'd be on the phone to each other or on video call like constantly. How can we do things better? What can we kind of do? But my job at the time was to just deal with everything that was happening in the venue and make sure I'd have managers below me and make sure the managers are doing their job. And he was more thinking about how to improve the overall business as opposed to how to improve like the day to day.
Mhm.
but I'd work with him on how to improve the day to day and everything. So that was really great. This is why we did all like the SOPing and improved all the finances. He spent a lot of time researching, studying. I always said to him he spent too much time reading books because I think he averaged like 8 books a week on hospo
Huh?
and like it was just real. Yeah, oh, yeah, mental. Like so he spent a lot of time researching. If you followed anything to do with like Zingerman's in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
So Zingerman's in Ann Arbor, they own. It was originally a small like bakery deli cafe, and now I think they own like 10, 11 hospitality sites in the area.
Mhm.
They're like one of the first people to introduce like profit share. They introduced open book management and all the whole system behind open book management, which we follow. And then they also have like a whole training school which people can go to and study all their courses and everything from like and it's all based on hospo, but you know, courageous conversations. How do you have conversations with people? How to actually train and coach your team. So he did a lot of it and then passed it on to me. So I did a lot of training on it and a lot of Zingerman's courses. I find them really good and really interesting to about 80%. Some of them I don't like. I think the American hospitality is a lot different to kind of anywhere else in the world because they rely on a tip
Mhm.
system. Um, so it's fantastic if your host or your waiter goes over and goes like, "Hi, my name's blah blah blah, and you should get this special and blah, blah, blah," all that stuff. But if that's how they're making their money, you can see why they're doing it and why they're encouraged to do it every single time. Where that'd be a dream if New Zealand staff did that every single time, but you just know they're not. That's not the world we live in. So I was under him for a few years. But while we improved the business, just before that time, I introduced the whole like music event system. We ended up doing with COVID and everything. We ended up doing I think 48 music events in 1 year, which was a lot. And bearing in mind, we can do up to like 1,000 people. So it went from never doing them before to doing 48 in 1 year. And I think we had like a 2 month lockdown in the middle of that. So it was a big thing, but that basically kept the lights on for the business and kept us. We didn't let anyone go during COVID, any lockdowns. Um, we never reduced our workforce. We paid our staff for the longest lockdown at like 80%, which is way better than just paying them the minimum. And it was also thanks to the fact that we'd done all these music events and we kind of had the money to be able to go do this.
Mhm.
So I worked under Damien, worked very closely with him. It wasn't the easiest relationship. We have a fantastic relationship now. We had a very up and down relationship where we were working, mainly because we had different ideas on how to run the business. And
Mhm.
it's very hard it made us better. And we still say that now, like it made us better because I think some people, you can just run your business and think you're doing it the best way, but if no one's kind of calling you out or saying why. So we both kind of did the same thing to each other and asked each other why and butted heads, and we'd have to have a lot of sit down, clear the air conversations and everything. And it was stressful, but we also got on really well. It was like 1 minute we would be like, this is amazing. Next minute I'd be like, don't talk to me. I want to throw something at your head, like sort of vibe. And then he kind of, towards the end, he started planning and started doing things without telling me, but I knew exactly why. He was basically like foolproofing the business so he could step away.
Mhm.
And he was doing it, but getting me to do things and saying, oh, but in the future, if I'm not here and if I'm not here, and I kind of knew that he was on his way out. So he left and went to Stony Ridge Vineyards on Waiheke.
Mhm.
Wife entered the business towards the end of his time, and she stayed for about 12 months. And so then me and her ran the business together. This is when I got promoted to business leader. But yeah, the transition from general manager to business leader isn't as big as people think. It's probably just more the fact that if you're a GM of a business in typical hospo fashion, the owner's probably still involved and you're kind of
Mm.
just running the show now involved. Well, when you get to business leader, you're kind of doing the same thing if you've not got a GM below you, but you haven't got that backstop of someone behind you to ask why and get their own ideas in. It's kind of just all left to you. I think there's quite a few times when I was kind of, staff would ask me things or an issue would happen, and I'd be like, oh, I need to find out. Let me ask myself. Like, you realize that now it's actually 100% on you. That, like, other times, if you've been trained on it or you know the answers, when you're like a GM or a venue manager, you can go ask someone and, find out. But when you're like a business leader, you kind of have to go. But you also then have to admit after a while that you don't know everything. And then you have to then find your way of getting the answer. And
Do
whether
you have
that's,
people that you go to for assistance when you're not sure of what to do?
absolutely. For 2 years, I employed a hospitality business coach, which I had sessions with every 2 weeks. She was a really good sounding board to me and just pointing some things out. It's good to have a different perspective on stuff, especially from someone who doesn't have like an investment into the business. And then I, I really think that in hospo, we look at hospo for answers, where I like to look outside of hospo for answers. I read a lot and watch a lot about like different leadership books and leadership styles. And, you know, the biggest leadership people I've looked at are like Sir Alex Ferguson, who was the manager of Manchester United for 25 years. He managed an organisation worth billions of pounds for 25 years. Like, you're not really going to get someone more experienced than him. Former, Obama, former president of the United States, but also, like Richard Branson, CEOs of different companies. But then also there's smaller companies you can reference and look at. But at the end of the day, leadership is leadership and everyone has a different style. I tell my team we try to work out what leadership style they've got and to read and research off that style.
Okay. Smart.
I've had leaders who have been like, oh, my inspiration is Michelle Obama or the American talk show host, the female Oprah, and they're like, oh, that's who I really look up to and admire. And then we have a conversation, and I'm like, you are nothing like these people. Your leadership style is not the same, and they admit it. They say it's not. So why are you trying to learn off someone who's completely different? I don't think leadership's not, for me, isn't something that you necessarily can teach that much of. You can improve, but I think it's more about finding their leadership style and moving with that. And
I love that approach. I haven't
yeah,
heard anyone explain it in that way before, where you can model it of somebody, but making sure you find somebody that models the same sort of approach or your personality is very smart. I
yeah,
mean, it makes
because I've got leaders at my place who are fantastic at their jobs and fantastic leaders, but they're never going to go shout at someone or argue, or they're probably never going to fire someone in their lives. Or if they did, it would take them 2 weeks to gain the courage to go and do that. So there's no point learning off a CEO or a leadership person that, there's leaders all around the world that fire 20 people a week and they do it to keep the team engaged. And what's the point in trying to learn off that person? Go learn off someone that's actually, empathetic. And we did a study with our business coach, and it's done with children now, and it's going into the corporate world at the moment. I know PwC have recently done it, but it's about, they do like a quiz themselves. Everyone's done one, like a personality quiz, but essentially this one goes with a blue dot, yellow dot, red dot, and purple dot, and it kind of groups their leadership and the way their brain works into each one. And you can have multiple ones, and I wouldn't say it's 100% correct, but what I would say is if they want to learn something, that's like a leadership book, and they've done this, you can kind of associate them to the more in the right direction, and someone else. Like, I just think that, yeah, I've always said, like, go and learn off people you aspire to be like, but who match your values and what you want. Don't just try and learn
Yeah.
off someone because they're successful. Like, I'm never going to read Donald Trump's autobiography or try and learn off him because I don't want to be like him and our values don't match. And I'm not getting political. I don't, don't get into that, but I don't want to be like a leader like him. So I'm not going to read his book. Or if I read it myself, I'd be reading it to learn what not to do or what not to be like, but it's a good way of, developing and improving is look at people you want to be like.
Love that. That's so interesting. What do you think your leadership style is?
It's changed.
Okay.
It's changed massively. And I get reminded of it all the time. When I started at Wynyard, I was definitely the sort of person, not good enough, get rid of them, fire them. Like, that was sort of someone he's shouting at, I'll go do it, no problem. Like, I'll go be the bad guy. And now, like, I can't do it. Like, I can, but it takes me a lot of, like, thinking about it and going through the scenario and working up to it. Like, I'm not soft by any means, and I've made hard decisions, and I've made decisions which, I've had to let people go. I've had to make redundancies before, and, a lot of people redundant, and I've done it, and I did it without crying or getting emotional. Someone with me was very emotional. Like, I can do it, but I think my leadership style is definitely more geared towards I lead in a way that I want my team to want to trust me and go on the journey with me and know that if they stick with me, they're going to develop and improve and be committed. Definitely a huge trait of mine, and what I look at for my team, what I try to develop is the whole trust element. Like, I need my team to trust me, but I need to trust them 100%. If I don't trust someone in my team, I really struggle. Like, I really, really struggle with it. But I think in terms of like a type of leader, there's not necessarily types because everyone's got different traits, but I'd definitely say that it's about personality, being open to staff, say when you're struggling, say when things are hard, and explain. Like, I'm really open. I will say to them, look, we've had a really bad January. This is how far we're back. We need to catch up. But these are the consequences if we don't. This is the pressure I'm under. We need to kind of muck in. And it works because, like, if we had a really bad January this year due to the weather, I told them all and said, hey, I'm really struggling. I'm under a lot of pressure to hit these numbers. Need your help. And like, every time we hit budget on a day, like, whoever the manager is will text me straight away and be like, well, we hit budget. Like, they're happy. Like,
yeah.
It's not just like a thing for them. Like,
yeah.
They, and one thing I always say is, like, we lose together, we win together. We want to win more than we lose, but I definitely count Hotspur as like a winning and losing sort of game. And I want them to kind of think in the same sort of way.
Yeah.
But when we lose, but then also one thing, and I say it to my team all the time, is, and not just the people who work directly under me, the entire people who work at Wynyard, is like, make mistakes. I have no problem with you making mistakes. You're never going to get shouted at me for making a mistake. We'll fix it. Can we fix it? Yes, we'll fix it. Just don't make the mistake 2 or 3 times, but go make mistakes, because if you make mistakes, you're going to learn from them. Don't make mistakes because you're being stupid or you don't care.
Yeah.
Just, like, that's the only time I get annoyed. The rest of the time, and if my managers get annoyed at someone who made a mistake, I'll go talk to the manager first and say, that's not how we behave. They'll be like, oh yeah, they can't be making these mistakes. And I'm like, no, it's fine. If they made a mistake, we did train them better. But it's not their fault they made the mistake unless they weren't caring or they're, messing around. But don't shout at them for making a mistake, because a lot of managers forget the mistakes they made.
Totally.
And I like to remind them.
Yeah. I like the fact that you just said then we need to train them better, because that's really what it comes down to, right?
Yeah. Look at the training, look at the system, and then if the training's been done correctly and the system's in place and done correctly, then we can go and talk to the person. But we have to look at them 2 things first and go, do we have a system? did the right training take place, and that like if we didn't, we fix that first.
Yeah.
Because
I love that.
it happens.
I think there's some really good information that we've talked about today that people can take away from this episode. Before we finish up, I'm going to do some quick little fun style questions. For you, what has been the highlight of your career to date?
America's Cup.
Yeah?
America's Cup at Wynyard, or getting the business leader position, like officially.
Yeah.
One of them.
I love that you're just talking about how much you guys were all dying together, but that's the highlight. That's awesome.
It's a weird thing. Get to be there.
Low light of your career so far.
I think when Damien left, that was really low. When I started at Wynyard, we had another restaurant manager, a duty manager, an event manager, and they all did America's Cup with us. They were all my groomsmen at my wedding. They all kind of left at the exact same time, and we were already. It was time. They'd been there for like 6 years, and he had different ambitions, and they all left, and I was a bit gutted about them leaving. Like it created about 6 months of a lot of hard times trying to replace like such significant people within the business.
Yeah. That's a very long time for a group of people to all be at one venue. It's very impressive.
I mean, we've got it now. We've got my wife's been there 8 years. 2 of our supervisors have been there about 6 years. Our past manager has been there for 12 years. I really like it. I like making them all. The best thing you can do is make them all friends, and then they'll stay and they'll develop together. It took me years to kind of get that dynamic. They all started off as like waiters, waitresses, or glassies, and worked their way up. And I had other managers in between. And the one thing I struggled with was the fact they didn't get on, or they weren't mates outside of work. And the second I got these guys, I promoted them all, and they were all mates. My life just got easier straight away. Nowhere near as experienced, but they cared so much. They wanted to develop, and they were mates, and it just changed.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so true, right? Like it doesn't, I honestly, and I think everybody says this, to be fair, but I really don't think experience matters that much if the person has the right attitude and they're willing to learn and they're willing to collaborate with other people in their team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What has been now this needs to be like an item. It can be something quite trivial, but what do you think the best money spent in the venue has been? Don't say your team.
No. Right, this will be the best thing because I will remember it forever, is when our past manager, Amanda, hit her 10 years of working at Wynyard Pavilion. We spent, and it's quite expensive, we got a plaque designed, which is now completely stuck to the pass, and they would have to rip the pass out to get the plaque off. Like I drilled it in so deep, and it says on it, 10 years of Amanda being the boss.
Oh, that's so cool.
And she's never worked any other position in the venue. She works the pass. That's all she does. Well, that's pretty much all she does, is work on the pass. And she's the most reliable staff member I've ever had. And
what a legend.
Like I have not got rid of, but I have nearly got rid of head chefs before because they haven't got on with her. And I'm like, she's more important. Like, but we kind of have a rule: if they don't get on with Amanda, then they're not right for us, because she's just the nicest, funniest person. There's no reason for him not to get. All she wants is people to work hard, and that's all she cares about.
Fuck yeah, go Amanda! That's awesome.
Yeah, she's
also,
great.
Pass manager is a hard role.
Yeah, I don't know how she does it.
You have the special type of brain.
That is the one position in the venue that I just don't want to go near. When I come in and they need help, I will move someone from the bar, from the floor, and say, go help the pass out, and I'll cover that section.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I am not standing in the middle of customers and chefs and not doing it. Not on Wynyard's pass.
Danger zone.
Yeah. Like, we're going to have arguments.
How yeah. Worst money that has been spent? Again, can just be like something trivial.
Oh, I bought one of them viral cocktail printers, print it onto the...
yeah?
Yeah, waste of money, never bloody worked. Spent ages on it.
Really? I
Yeah,
was looking at those. I thought that
no,
would be cool.
no, they do not work. You get like a little bit
Okay.
of a smudge, and that's it. And they were like, it was like $300. I've still got
Yeah,
it,
okay.
and it doesn't work.
Good to know. Good to know. That's good advice. We've already talked about this. Most of you have ever been in the weeds, America's Cup. Or
Nah,
you
I did a club night once. And we had a international artist called Polita, and the promoter sold too many tickets, like way too many tickets. And I went and upstairs in our office to try to check the cameras. I had him on my phone, but it wasn't working for some reason. And the staff were texting me saying it's too busy, like too full from the bar. And that's happened twice. So in fact, to be able to do that. And I couldn't get from the stairs to the bar because there was too many people blocking my view, like blocking my way. And I was trying to get through people and they just trying to fight me. So I just kind of stood there and I texted the managers and just said, he's coming on now. Hold on for dear life. He'll be over in 45 minutes. And I said, there is nothing I can do to get to you right now. And I tried to get my security over and they couldn't get to me. And I just said, hold on, basically. And I will say on them days to managers, to staff, like, go as fast as you can. Like, you can. Don't be stupid. Don't go at a rate you can't sustain. Go, serve at the pace you can serve at. And I just said on that one, like, the text was just watch the team and just keep them going, but don't do anything stupid. Just hold on.
Oh my God, that's crazy. I've never been in a venue where you physically can't get through the crowd.
When it started to die down and like people started to leave after he left, I saw the promoters and they came over. That was awesome. And I was like, YouTube outside now. And one of them's like 6'5" and he's like muscly as hell. And I'm 5'10", and my staff were watching me and they were just laughing because I was just like stood in front of him, like shouting at him. Like, we have a really good relationship, me and his promoter. And I'm like, if you ever do that again, I'll find you and I will knock you out, mate. I will absolutely kill you. And he's like from Uruguay and he's just like kind of laughing. And I'm like, I'm being serious. I'll murder you.
It's a true definition of being in the weeds. Oh my God.
Like,
Hilarious.
that was horrible.
Is there anything today that we haven't talked about that we should have talked about?
No, I think it's all been pretty good.
Oh my God, you're the first person to ever say that.
Now, one thing I would say, and I said it to everyone, a quote I'll say.
Yep.
Hospitality is a very simple concept and it is very difficult in reality. I say that to a lot of people because even to customers who complain, it's a very simple idea, hospo. It's very hard and practical. And I think we've seen recently in Auckland with a lot of venues shutting down and a few old operators coming back into the fold and buying venues. Hospo has changed in the last 5 years and Hospo is not opening the doors anymore and serving and then having a nice healthy bank balance at the end. It is being an accountant, it's being a marketing manager, it's being HR, it's being a plumber, it's being a recruitment specialist. But the one thing that I see in Hospo, which we need to get better at, is actual leadership and developing people to stay in Hospo.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my friends at my age have jumped out of Hospo and are working sales roles, all this different stuff, because no one's actually tried to keep them in Hospo and showed them a career progression route. Working for corporations in Hospo isn't the only answer. Do not need to go work in a corporate company to stay in Hospo. It is an option and it's a good option for some people, but we need more people to stay in Hospo who actually know Hospo, who have done COVID and who've developed, but it's not like it once was. So, the government needs to do more work on creating a safer environment for hospitality at night. New Zealand's in for a struggle in the next couple of years in terms of their nightlife. I am very much involved in that with Restaurant Association and a few other organisations. They put me forward to be part of the Nighttime Economy Board and for hospitality. So I can advise on nightlife and safe nightlife. But Auckland, especially Auckland, is in for a tough time over the next couple of years in terms of the nightlife and being safe. Consumers are drinking less. social media is bigger than ever. So any incidents gets reported. People need to stay in hospo, but we need to start creating more progression and plans to keep people in hospo. A few owners I've seen recently have started to give like percentages to like GMs and stuff, or getting them involved. The more businesses that do that, the better. You're going to keep good people in hospo, and that's going to elevate New Zealand even higher.
Yeah, that is a great note to end on. Alex, thank you so much for sitting down to talk with me. That was a good long conversation.
Yeah.